The pillars of cybersecurity are authentication, which is identifying the source of a request, authorization, granting access only to those components that the person or program should be allowed to access, integrity, making sure that things are exactly what you expect them to be. And a lot of this is built off of the use of encryption to prevent things from being seen that should not be seen. SureSync saves your job configurations and network configurations in a database. If the database is JET, you're only protected by using the file permissions on that JET database. If you use SQL Server, and SQL Server Express is free and can be used for this, you can use Windows accounts or a SQL account within SQL Server to protect the data. You need an account that is a DB owner to use the database and to transfer files. For users that will only be referencing the job log, read access is all that's necessary for the database. When transferring files, you can optionally authenticate each IP address that's being used to send files to a particular agent. Credentials are always encrypted when they're transmitted to the remote machines. So you have authentication both with the logon credentials at that particular agent as well as by the IP address. All transmissions by default will be encrypted. If you're using an encrypted VPN, you can turn that particular option off. When files are transmitted, a hash is computed of the file and compared against a hash at the destination end to make sure that nothing has corrupted the file in transmission. When files are copied, we actually copy them to a temporary name and location and then rename them so that if there's a failure in the process, you don't lose any data. Also, it gives us the opportunity to resume a transmission if it's interrupted for any reason. There's an additional option to have what we call a backup route. And a backup route allows files that are replaced or deleted on a destination to be placed in a separate folder so that they can be recovered if you need to. To validate IP addresses that can be received by a computer, you use the Computers section of the desktop program, select that particular machine, and on the Options tab, you have a list of addresses that you'll accept. The type of encryption to be used in the transmission is set on the listen ports for your different machines. There's a drop-down list here with a number of different encryption types that you can select, including none if you're using a VPN that is performing encryption for you. The system uses two different configurations, one for data transfer using a TLS encryption, and for exchanging configuration it uses the basic 256 encryption. The TLS is the more efficient for transmissions, and we recommend that you keep the configuration connection on basic 256 so that configuration information can be exchanged without having to run the local configuration utility on your remote machine. Backup route paths are defined on your job using the Route Paths tab, and there you're going to find a column that says Backup Route Path. If one doesn't exist, there'll be a button for adding that, and you can edit and remove. In addition to setting the path, you can set the number of days to retain those copies, and this is files that are being replaced or deleted on that destination. There are other security settings on the desktop program. On the group that holds your jobs, there's a security tab where you can select users and assign what permissions they have for altering jobs or launching jobs using the desktop program. Each job, in turn, has a security tab where you can be specific for that particular job. Permissions are inherited just as they would be in a file system. Down on the individual job, you also have a security tab there where you can grant permissions as well. So you have some fairly fine-grained sets of permissions. The same goes for monitors with the security tab.